Tito Joe Tali for me, and I believe for many other full-time pastoral workers, he is a father. Sobra siyang accommodating, pakikinggan ka lang niya. At mararamdaman mo na talagang he will just spend time just to listen to you.
Tito Joe can be very, very funny. Although he looks serious, aside from the humility, aside from his passion and being trusting, he's very open.
Personally, I could see Tito Joe as a model in various ways. Model of humility. Kitang-kita mo sa kung paano siya mamuhay. Even on how he display himself in public. Even kung paano siya manamit. Napaka-simple, taong-tao.
I was born in Iligan City. I grew up in a rural town, which has provided great memories. After elementary there, I went to the Foundation College High School in the capital city of Dumaguete. Finished my high school there and qualified as an AFS exchange student to the US. So I had my another year of high school in Campbellsport, Wisconsin. So coming back from that, went to college in Ateneo. My dad was a lawyer. He was actually also an officer in the Philippine Army. My mom was a high school teacher. During the summer before high school, I was asked to join a Boy Scout summer camp. I found out later after the camp that yung pala, the province was selecting its delegates to the Boy Scout World Jamboree in Greece. So, dalawa po kaming napili doon. And so we're all excited about that. We found out that yung pala, I was underaged by I think a month or 2 months. Some of the friends of my dad and my parents, well-meaning as they were, but parang they said, sandali lang po yung ayusin, no? Yung birth certificate, madali namang kumuha ng ibang falsified certificate that will show na hindi na ako underage, no? But my parents were quite firm, said no such thing. We will not do any unrighteous thing. The way they explained it to me was more not in a theological or spiritual way, but they just said if we do this now, you will have problems when you grow up, when you study, when you whatever do in the future. You'll have problems if we do this now, so let's not do it. So disappointed din ako in a way, but of course I obey my parents, and so naman na yung tama naman yung nila, no? And then I think you're too young to know the story, but the contingent from the Philippines, no, to the Boy Scout Jamboree in Greece that year, the plane crashed, and all of the delegates died, of course. So early on, that firm following righteousness was ingrained in me. That was a big influence on me, and sometimes I'm not even conscious about it. But that's what I followed because it was grace. That was grace from God. And when I look back on my life, it's always been grace from God. Sa akin naman, let God plan my life. I just respond to His call kasi marami nang nangyari sa buhay ko na it was because of the Lord. College was may adjustment period ako, no? Kasi first of all, prom day, you have to adjust to the new set of friends, and I was also humbled. I finished valedictorian in both elementary and high school. Kala ko sikat ako. Ganun ba? But in Ateneo, in our freshman class lang, I think there were about 50 valedictorians all over the country, from all over the country. So you're just one of those. I was humbled. I was put on the ground again, and hey, you're not that great, no? What you are is what the Lord wants you to be. Thank the Lord. We met very early on. She was grade 4, I was grade 5. Kasi we lived in the same town. So we're childhood friends. Her brothers were the barkada of my brother. Pero ito nga rin yung sabi ko, half-jokingly, na wala pa ako sa CFC noon. I hadn't taken the CLP, but I was already applying talk number 6, which is loving your neighbor.
I knew the Jose Tale before I saw him. I think he was the favorite of the teacher's pet. And whenever he wanted to say something, good example of a student, he would also always mention his name. Nakaka-intrigue. Sino kaya to? I remember the first time I saw him in person, he was on stage in a declamation. So I said, oh, ito pala.
Sa probinsya kasi may, of course, flag ceremony every morning. And then, merong nagbi-beat. One time si Baby Lou ang nagbi-beat. Tapos yung classmate ko, tinuro siya na yun yung tinitis niya sa akin. Ah, okay. I was struck by lightning. No, but of course, that was kumbaga, the introduction to all of this. Siguro, meron ding mutual admiration. So, that's how it started. And then, crush. Tingin-tingin lang. Formally, nililigawan ko sa mga, I think, mga third or fourth year na ako high school. Then, of course, I was away for a year for the U.S. Exchange student scholarship.
I was in second year high school. And he sent me a love letter, which I still kept. I showed it to my mommy. And then, friends lang pa rin. Because I thought we were still young before he just left for the U.S. He didn't even know that I said yes. He didn't hear it.
Pagbalik ko naman, college sa Ateneo, she stayed on to study in Silliman University. So, you might say it was, for the most part, a little bit of long-distance relationship. But na-strengthen naman yung relationship. 2 years after graduation, well, we decided na it was time to settle down. We're very young. Since we were friends for a long time, there was little adjustment. We speak the same language. We grew up more or less in the same milieu. The families were friends. It was a good experience. We look back with fond memories. Well, yung isang ma-remember ko sa marriage namin that was a challenge financially was that time na naubos na yung sweldo bago yung next payday. Then, we didn't even have money to buy milk. Ginawa namin, naghanap kami sa buong bahay ng bottles. Usually, may mga deposit yun. So, sinauli namin. So, nagkaroon kami ng kunting cash. And that sort of gave us the kind of help even at the time. So, of course, hindi na masyadong knowledge. We learn how to manage our funds better.
Mabait si Joe. And I haven't heard him shout in our whole married life. That's why, ako din, nahiya na rin ako mag-shout. When I get angry, I don't shout because he always tells me, you know, you don't have to shout. We can hear better if we don't shout. So even our children, you don't hear them shout. It's a big thing that he started it because we were able to raise our children without any shouting. No screaming at all.
My friend, si Tony Miloto, he invited us to CFC. I had a very convenient excuse. Sabi ko, wala lang panahon, no? Kita mo na, I work during the day and then teach at night. Parang we didn't need it in a way. No? Ano naman wala naman kaming problema. Why even accept that? For a long time, it was like that. Until there's one time na may barkada kaming dumating from abroad, I think. So, kakasama kami. And then, we went to these girly shows, these striptease joints, mga ganyan. When we're talking about it, notice ko si Tony, ako bakit parang matamlay siya na parang if you could, sana hindi ka na pupunta. But anyway, we went. Ayaw niyang pumasok. Doon lang talaga siya sa likod. So, mukhang seryoso itong nangyari sa kaibigan ko nito. Yung dati siya yung mangunguna sa mga ganyan. Now, at some point, usap ko yung baby, sige, let's try it, no? Kasi I saw a change in my friend. So, yeah. So that's how we finally said yes to joining a CLP. I think the time now we were saying we don't need it, I think we're also being proud. But we found out when we were in CFC that there was so much to learn. So CFC provided a lot of teachings that made us better understand ourselves, better understand our relationship with God and our relationship with one another, and also, training us how to deal with our children. And one thing that kind of cemented that was when we wanted to share it. We didn't want to keep it to ourselves kasi parang sayang naman, no? Something good that you got. Our first impulse was really to share it with as many people as possible. So we prayed na madala namin yung CFC in our home province. And the Lord granted that prayer after a while. We were able to start the CFC in Dumaguete in 89. So it was not easy. I was the team head. I was also the assistant team head. And then sila Baby Lou helped a lot. Our two daughters also served in that CLP. They helped distribute the food. Then I was also the music ministry. And sometimes, kung may time naman na hindi dumating yung speaker ka rin. And then, kung naging discussion leader ka. Even if that was the case, we thoroughly, you might say, enjoyed it. Grateful to the Lord for that opportunity. That service further strengthened our own commitment to the Lord and to the community. Because the Lord blesses us with joy in our hearts, notwithstanding difficulties, notwithstanding the challenge. Both Baby Lou and I are, for the most part, private persons. We prefer to just keep quiet and, In CFC, we learn how to communicate. We learn how to not to wait for all those little things to pile up and burst at some point, but to discuss things as early as possible when there are things that bother you.
Here in Couples for Christ, we have common friends whose ideals are the same, raising families for the Lord. If there are concerns that we need to correct the children, just do it during the prayer time. We listen to their concerns because they say it in their petitions. Such a joy for parents to see that the kids, even young as they are, just teenagers, but they already know how to, listen to the Lord at a young age.
We introduce the children to being thankful, remember things that the Lord, you experience something very positive from the Lord, and then thank the Lord for that. We introduce them also to Bible reading after some time. Without CFC, I would not do that. And that might not even be in my consciousness to do. Yeah.
Through Couples for Christ, I realized that we are raising a family, a good offering to the Lord. It's building a home for the Lord. So it's not just for us, it's really for the Lord. And everything we do, it's for the Lord, for His glory and honor. It's beautiful.
Personally, in how I pastor people, I model most of it kay Tito Joe Tale. His quiet presence, quiet but assuring presence. You take a lot of confidence in the fact na God is in control. And that's because of his example.
I remember doon sa isang talk niya, you see Christ doon sa taong kausap mo. Kakilala mo siya, pero merong something na hindi mo gusto sa kanya. Yung mga taong yon, hindi mo alam kung ano dinadala nilang problems.
Yung faith na napaka-deep. He been through a lot of trials and persecution, but then still he was able to stand firm sa faithful niya. Malaki rin siguro impact yung pagiging man of God niya kasi I look up to him as a true servant of God, not only in words, not only in title, but also in action and in deed. Lalo na yung mga pagtulong sa mga mahirap at saka yung dito sa amin, lalo na yung pagkikare niya sa mga tao po dito.
Napakamahinahon niyang magsalita. Isang trait na gusto kong matutunan sa kanya, yung any word that comes out of your mouth, talagang pinag-iisipan niya. He always say what is upbuilding. He always see the good points of people, especially those who are working around him. So that for me is a very good quality that I want to emulate, humility. Napakalaking impact nito for the community. For indeed, especially humility. Because we know that humility is the gateway to mature in our spirituality.
The community of Couples for Christ is blessed to have a humble servant in Brother Joe Tale.
A leader must be a servant. It's not the authority, it's not the power to just impose on things, but you must actually serve and be prepared to serve no matter how humble the task is. One should also be a good follower before you can become a good leader. Kasi putting it into the CFC, we preach obedience. So you yourself must also be obedient to the leaders above you. Leadership is about servanthood. Of course, the model of Jesus washing the feet of the disciples, he was already the master, he was the teacher, and yet he showed them that he was willing to do the most menial task, the task that was reserved for the lowest of the slaves. He didn't mind, and he did it because he wanted to emphasize a point and told them, because I did this, you're also expected to do this for one another, to serve one another. And one figure also is always in my mind is yung leadership in CFC, being a servant, is like an inverted pyramid. When you are a servant, you are at the bottom, parang carrying the load then for the rest of the body. You come home from the field, you go home, don't expect to be served your meal. After you have done all your service, don't complain, because it's what a servant is.
Knowing him to be the chairman of the biggest Catholic organization, lay organization here in the Philippines, Couples for Christ being the only institution or organization that has pontifical recognition or that accreditation from the Vatican. Pag nakita mo siya personally, parang hindi mo akalain that he is that person who is at the helm of one big organization, global organization for that matter. Kasi di ba, napakadali mong paniwalaan ang isang tao kung nakikita mong sinasabuhay niya yung kanyang sinasabi. And Tito Joe is such kind of a man, a true gentleman in the eyes of the world, but much more in the eyes of God.
He was a very diplomatic person and leader. Alam ko na yung mga decisions niya ay talagang pinagdasal out of his love for God and love for the community, love for the members. Yung having a very light conversational relationship with the members and with my commissionaries. Those are the significant characters of Tito Joe that inspired me as well, and I want to be like as a leader of our ministry.
Tito Joe has always stood by the community, whether in good times or in bad. Na-affect niya yung life ko dahil whether in good or in bad, I will also stand by the community.
One of the things that I really look up to him in regards to anything is his desire to please God more than anything. The way he says or shares his prayers, napaka-sincere.
In CFC, parang we're taught that we can pray in our own words, that you can express to God your prayer in the words that you are comfortable with. Part of the prayer is listening. That to me is valuable, to be able to have the dialogue with our God, who in our own words, in our own, expressing what is deep in us, emotions included. I pray constantly for CFC, for everyone, everywhere, and that we truly become the community that the Lord wants us to be. Siguro, if all in CFC really embrace the Lord and His ways, and we show it in our actions each day. It's a challenge, but I think that will have impact in society, in the world around us, in our country and elsewhere. Hopefully the community can also be an intercessory community, that we pray for one another. Finally, with respect to community, I really pray that in our own little way, we can change the world where we are, starting where we are, grounded on our belief in the Lord. Do something positive, whatever you can. Hopefully, through that, we will make a difference. Not only, of course, assume na dito yung the difference in your own life, but beyond it, go beyond yourself and make a difference where you are.
He doesn't look passionate, but if you listen to him, you can really feel how humble this man is. You can really sense his passion for the work of the Lord.
Yung respect mo sa kanya as a leader is born out of yung admiration because of his humility, ganon, as a leader. He has always been grounded in faith. Makikita mo talaga yung kababaan ng loob sa kanya. whether ang kausap niya pinakamataas na leader ng bansa or mga normal na tao na tulad natin.
Humble servant, and he listens to others. And what is important is he listens to the Lord in his prayer time. He does a lot of meditation, contemplative prayer in the morning. Praise God that he's able to do that. We're able to learn how to listen to the Lord in our prayer time. Joyful, always joyful in the Lord together. I thank God. He is God's gift to me, really.
Very important kasi if you recall when Jesus was asked what's the greatest commandment, he said the first is love God with all your heart, with all your strength, with all your soul, everything you've got, you love God. But the second one is love your neighbor as yourself, and the two go together. You cannot just have one without the other. Hindi kompleto eh. Kanya I thank the Lord for CFC because He gave us this holistic mission to love Him, but we don't stop at the level of prayer to Him, and that is fundamental, that's basic, but we seek to apply our prayer, our faith, and apply it in action. I don't plan to stop serving because serving is, of course, you can serve in any capacity. I'm chairman now, but I will not be chairman forever without any position, but you can serve. You can serve anywhere in whatever capacity, guided always by the Lord kasi we cannot go about this by ourselves. I need not be in any position to be able to serve.